Bismillah walhamdulillah wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome into another lecture of the Armor program. So, I guess in the last lecture, some of the answers that Alex Rosenberg gave when we did the questions thing, especially regarding the soul, free will, right and wrong, morality, I think they were surprising to a lot of you. I know you know lots of atheists around you, and they're nice people in general. Now, why did Alex say those things then? And as we said, the problem is that those atheists, the ones that we see around us mostly, they just don't know what atheism really means. They are atheists because they want to say, no, there's no God, and they'll be free of any obligations. But if you just try to probe their chain of thoughts, they will get to a dead end, and they won't be able to answer any questions after that. So, why is that? Why is that the case? Why is it in the atheistic view that there's no soul, there's no morality, there's no right and wrong, and there is no free will? You see, when you deny God, when you say that there is no God, the question remains, where did we come from then? Then what they will say is, or what they found, and they use it as their main thing, is evolution. Darwin's theory of evolution. Now, what does that theory say? So it says that we all of us, every living object on this planet, let's say at least, they all have the same origin, which is a cell that somehow got into existence and then started replicating, and over a period of millions or billions of years, it gave all those species that we see around us. So we, the donkeys, the mosquitoes, the sheep, we all come from the same source. Also, the other thing is that they adopted science as their God. So science, they say, we do not accept anything that science cannot test, that science cannot prove, that we cannot observe and test with science. So then that means obviously God immediately comes out of the equation because you cannot test it with science. And things like soul as well will go out of the equation, because what is soul? How can you test soul? Is there a test or a device or something that you can investigate and see if the soul really exists? There's no such thing. So then there's no soul. So what that means is that we're basically just chemistry, so molecules that's got some chemicals in it, and these chemicals, through their reaction, they give the movements, and they give the things that we do every day. So it turns into biology. Now, what are the implications of that? The implications is that there's no objective morality, because where would morality come from? Like for people who have faith, people who believe in a God, and they believe in a religion, if you ask them, let's say that rape, for example, why is rape wrong? They'll tell you that because God says it's wrong. And because we as humans, it's just also that complies with our innate predisposition to say that this is wrong. Now, how about the atheist? Why rape is wrong? You've got molecules, chemistry that turned into biology, forcing another chemistry that turned into biology to do something. How is that? Why is that wrong? Because as Stephen Hawking says, we are only chemical scum on a medium-sized planet. And Stephen Hawking is a physicist, and he passed away, but before, when he was alive, he was one of the main atheists, basically. He was one of the heads of atheists. Now, he was a genius, don't get me wrong, but he was an atheist, and this was his conclusion. We're just chemical scum on a moderate-sized planet. So why is it wrong for chemical scum to rape chemical scum? there's no answer. And you will see soon that this is not something that we're making up. You'll see that this is actually the view of Dawkins. And then you will see when we ask Mr. Lawrence Krauss, who is also a physicist, who is also one of the main free thinkers, he's justifying incest, for example. He cannot say why incest is wrong. So you see what atheism leads to is that there's no objective morality. Now, what does that lead to? What does that mean for us as well? It means that they shouldn't criticize anyone for whatever they think or for whatever they do. Because, for example, Lawrence Krauss, in the same debate with Hamza that you'll see part of about the incest, he criticized hijab. Then the question to him is, why is hijab is wrong? Like, you have no problem with incest, but then you're saying hijab is not right? Why? This doesn't make any sense. Back to the story that I mentioned yesterday about my colleague who doesn't eat meat. So when I probed him, I said, why is it wrong to eat meat, like to slaughter the sheep and eat it? You're an atheist, you believe in evolution. Why is it wrong to do that? Like the lion, we and the lions, the rabbits, the sheep, we all share the same ancestry. Why is it wrong then for the lion to eat the rabbit? I don't see you saying that to the lion, don't eat the other animals. But it's wrong for us to eat those animals? How come? Like, it doesn't make sense to me in your view. You know what he says? Let me give you a few seconds. Just think about his rationale, why he justified his opinion that slaughtering and eating sheep is not right. He said, what if other species now, who are more developed than us, they come and then they start slaughtering us and eat us? How would you feel? Now, I had another colleague there who was, I believe he's Christian, and we were sort of asking the atheist colleague about his views, and so I looked at him and said, how do you argue against that? That's what it leads to. And then at that stage, you need to stop. That's it. You've proven your point. You got this person to a corner where maybe he will think someday and start sort of pondering about what he's saying. So you're refusing God that we have so many evidence for, and then you're accepting another species that will come and eat us. But that's fine with them. And the other main thing that I want to mention is that whenever we talk to those people, yes, I put it here in the lectures in a more sarcastic, sometimes mockery even, but when we talk to them, let's try not to make it out of ego. Okay? As I said, the reason I put out of mockery, out of sometimes of sarcasm, is just to show how proud we should be to be Muslims and to believe in what we believe in, and how we are going to rationalize it, and how it just makes sense. And know that anyone else, they've got no grounds whatsoever. And once you know what they believe in, okay, then you can just put them in the corner, not to embarrass them, not to, as I said, out of ego. We're trying to bring them back to common sense, to think about what they're saying, and maybe they'll be guided. Maybe they'll be guided, because that's our main aim. What do we gain if they go to hell? Nothing. And that's why Allah ordered us to call to Him, so that we can save those people from hell and guide them to paradise, inshallah. So, as I said, we try to probe their innate predisposition, maybe get it to wake up, and start asking the question and start rationalizing what they actually believe in, because believe me, as I said, they don't know what they believe in. So that's about, as I said, that's about morality. So that's what it leads to. Atheism leads to that there's no objective morality. So whenever someone criticizes us for something that we as Muslims do, we need to ask them what their reference is. Now, what they say, the atheist response to that is, we don't need religion to come up with morality. Like, societies can sit together and decide what's better for them and what's good for them, and that will be accepted.
I agree that it's very difficult to come to an absolute definition of what's moral and what is not. We are on our own without a God, and we have to get together, sit down together and decide what kind of society do we want to live in. Do we want to live in a society where people steal, where people kill, where people don't pull their weight paying their taxes, doing that kind of thing? Do we want to live in the kind of society where everybody is out for themselves in a dog-eat-dog world? And we decide in conclave together that that's not the kind of world in which we want to live. It's difficult. There is no absolute reason why we should believe that's true. It's a moral decision which we take as individuals, and we take it collectively as a collection of individuals. If you want to get that sort of value system from religion, I want you to ask yourself, whereabouts in religion do you get it? Which religion do you get it from? They're all different. If you get it from the Judeo-Christian Islamic tradition, then I beg you, don't get it from your holy book, because it's, to repeat that opening line of chapter 2 of my book, the morality you will get from your holy book is hideous. Don't get it from your holy book. Don't get it from sucking up to your God. Don't get it from saying, oh, I'm terrified of going to hell, so I'd better be good. That's a very ignoble reason to be good. Instead, be good for good reasons. Be good for the reason that you have decided together with other people the society we want to live in, a decent, humane society, not one based on absolutism, not one based on holy books, and not one based on sucking up to looking over your shoulder to the divine spy camera in the sky.
Then we ask them, okay, the Nazis were a society, and their reasoning led them, and their belief in evolution and natural selection is that they should kill they killed the Jews, they killed whoever was handicapped. They thought that in this way they will make their race better by getting rid of the species that are less. That's what they believed in. So they killed them. So then how can we say that they're wrong? That's their society, that's what they accepted. And at the same token, why is it wrong in any Muslim or non-Muslim society, if we go with your logic, why is it wrong what they do? Why? So you're human, I'm a human. You can reason, I can reason. What makes your brain better than mine? What makes your reasoning better than mine? Because once we lose reference, once we use the cornerstone that we both can work with, then, as Alex said yesterday, anything goes. And that's exactly what's happening nowadays. So that explains to you what we see in the world now, because anything goes. Why not? So that's basically the thing that we should, when we discuss things with them, when we talk to them, always remember that they need a reference for what they say. And if their reference is just their reasoning, then if I disagree, I can reason as well. Okay, now let's see why Prof. Dawkins thinks rape is wrong. Let's have a look.
When you make a value judgment, don't you immediately step yourself outside of this evolutionary process and say there is the reason this is good is because it's good, and you don't have any way to stand on that statement?
But my value judgment itself could come from my evolutionary past, and I suppose...
So therefore it's just as random in a sense as any product of evolution.
Well, you could say that, but it doesn't in any case. Nothing about it makes it more probable that there is anything supernatural.
Okay, but ultimately your belief that rape is wrong is as arbitrary as the fact that we've evolved 5 fingers rather than 6. I mean,
you could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
And now let's see, in the atheistic view, through Prof. Krauss, let's see if there's a problem with incest.
Okay, let me ask Professor Krauss a question. Why is incest wrong?
It's not clear to me that it's wrong.
Okay.
It's clear to me there's an evolution. No, listen to me. Listen to me.
Wait, let's give him the respect, please. He's got a
You
justification.
asked me a question, and if you want me to answer, I will.
Yeah, of course. Do it.
Okay. The point is, most societies have a taboo on incest, and it's an empirical one. Generally, incest produces genetic defects.
Yes.
Okay. And so in general, there's a physiological reason and a societal one why incest is wrong.
Yes.
Okay? But if you ask me the question, is it, and this is an interesting question, by the way, there's an ingrained incest taboo in almost all societies for that reason.
Sure.
Because societies want to persist, so it works. But if you asked me a priori, for example, the question, if a brother and a sister loved each other and used contraception, is there something absolutely morally wrong about that? And that, by the way, and it was once, and they went off and it didn't affect anything else, I'd have to think about it, because I don't think there's any absolute condemnation of that fact. If they love each other and care for each other and they go off and it doesn't affect anything else,
okay.
Would I recommend it? No. Would I be particularly happy about it? But would I be willing to listen to those arguments if they were rational? Maybe.
Okay, good. So, see, this is...
Okay, and now let's see what both of them, Prof. Krauss and Prof. Dawkins, think about the free will. Let's have a listen.
I suppose, Dr. Dawkins, I would ask this to you. Is there a scientific basis for the concept of free will in human beings? And if not, is there a biological evolutionary reason why all of us believe we have free will?
The late Christopher Hitchens, when asked, does he believe in free will, replied, I have no choice. It's a question that I dread, actually, because I don't have a very well thought out view about it. I think that, I have a materialist view of the world. I think that things are determined in a rational way by antecedent events. And so that commits me to the view that when I think I have free will, when I think that I'm exercising free choice, I'm deluding myself, that my brain states are determined by physical events. And yet that seems to contradict, to go against the very powerful subjective impression that we all have, that we do have free will. I think all I can do is recommend the works of my colleague Daniel Dennett on the subject, which are fascinating.
And there's a new book by another one of our colleagues, Sam Harris, on free will that's coming out. But
yes.
But I also have to agree that I think everything I know about the world tells me that there's no such thing as free will. I just think we act, but the world behaves as if there's free will, and so it doesn't make much difference. Just like the particles in the room, we can discuss them statistically, and they behave as if they can do things that they're not being forced to do. It's just statistics. And we behave as if we have free will because we live in a very complex world where there's so many factors influencing any of our decisions that you can't trace that free will down to its source. And so the difference between a world where we act as if we have free will, or it looks like we have free will, and we really do, in my mind, is so minimal that it's a question for philosophers to worry about, but not me. And maybe with that, Will, thank you very much.
So, there is no free will. The question then is, why are you calling to atheism? If we do not have a free will, why are you calling to atheism to try to change our mind to be atheists. See, when someone with faith, let's not say just Muslims, because other faiths call to their beliefs, to their faiths, when they call to their faith, they do it out of belief in that faith. They do it out of what we believe in. As I said, you're trying to save people from hell. They do it, and they mostly do it for free. They mostly do it where they spend their time, they spend their effort, all that because they're looking at the reward for them and, as I said, to save others from the hellfire. Now, why does an atheist call to atheism? Why do you want to save people who don't have free will, by the way? You want to save them from believing in God, makes them happy. Why do you want to take this happiness from them? Why do you want to take this relief from them? Why don't you believe this is the only thing you've got? This life is the only thing you've got. Why do you spend your time doing this? Do you know why? Every book they make, multi-million-dollar check. Every book. And with this, I conclude this lecture. Till next time, inshallah ta'ala. Stay safe, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.